In 2016, a conspiracy theory emerged from the darkest corners of the internet, suggesting that a child trafficking ring involving high-profile politicians was being operated out of a Washington, D.C. pizzeria. This theory, known as Pizzagate, quickly spiraled out of control, leading to real-world consequences and highlighting the dangers of misinformation. Join us as we unravel the origins, spread, and impact of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory traces its roots to a series of events that unfolded in the tumultuous political climate of 2016. This was a year marked by the contentious U.S. presidential election between Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton and Republican candidate Donald Trump. Amidst the political turbulence, the release of hacked emails from John Podesta, the chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign, became a catalyst for the spread of one of the most infamous conspiracy theories of the decade. The origin of Pizzagate can be pinpointed to October 2016, when WikiLeaks began publishing thousands of emails obtained from John Podesta's personal email account. These emails, which were part of a broader series of hacks attributed to Russian operatives, contained mundane communications between Podesta and various associates. However, conspiracy theorists, particularly those active on internet forums like 4chan and Reddit, began to scrutinize the content for hidden meanings and connections. Within these forums, users started to parse through the emails, looking for anything that could be construed as suspicious. It wasn't long before references to food, specifically pizza, caught their attention. The term pizza appeared frequently in the emails, often in the context of social events and dinner plans. For example, one email mentioned a party at Comet Ping Pong, a well-known pizzeria in Washington, D.C., owned by James Alefantis. Another email discussed ordering pizza for a gathering. To the average reader, these references seemed innocuous. However, within the echo chambers of conspiracy forums, they took on a more sinister interpretation. Some users posited that pizza and other food-related terms were actually code words for a child trafficking ring. This interpretation was not based on any concrete evidence, but rather on a pattern of conjecture and confirmation bias, where users selectively interpreted information to fit their preconceived notions. As the theory began to gain traction online, users started to construct elaborate narratives around it. They claimed that high-profile Democratic politicians, including Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, were involved in a secret pedophile ring that operated out of Comet Ping Pong. The pizzeria, which was a popular local establishment known for hosting live music and community events, was suddenly cast in the role of a sinister front for criminal activities. One of the earliest and most influential proponents of the Pizzagate theory was a Twitter user named David Goldberg, who began tweeting about the supposed child trafficking ring in early November 2016. Goldberg's tweets included screenshots of Podesta's emails and sensational claims about the involvement of political elites in nefarious activities. His tweets quickly went viral, amplified by other conspiracy theorists and social media algorithms that favored sensational content. The theory gained further momentum when it was picked up by alt-right figures and websites known for promoting conspiracy theories. Websites like InfoWars, run by Alex Jones, began publishing articles and videos that lent credence to the Pizzagate claims. These platforms had large followings and significant influence, helping to spread the theory to a wider audience. Alex Jones, in particular, was a prominent figure in the alt-right media landscape, known for his bombastic style and willingness to promote controversial and unverified claims. The involvement of high-profile alt-right personalities helped to legitimize the theory in the eyes of many followers. Videos and articles produced by these figures often presented the Pizzagate claims as fact, using dramatic language and imagery to suggest a vast, hidden conspiracy. These pieces of content were shared widely across social media platforms, where they reached millions of viewers and readers. As the theory spread, it began to take on a life of its own. Internet users started to investigate Comet Ping Pong and its owner, James Alefantis, scrutinizing every detail of the pizzeria's online presence. They pored over Alefantis' social media posts, looking for anything that could be interpreted as evidence of criminal activity. Innocuous photos and comments were taken out of context and woven into the broader conspiracy narrative. For example, photos of children at Comet ping pong events, posted by Alefantis on his Instagram account, were presented as proof of the pizzeria's involvement in child trafficking. Comments and captions that seemed perfectly normal in context were twisted into sinister implications. The name Alefantis was even analyzed for hidden meanings, with some conspiracy theorists suggesting that it was an anagram for satanic rituals. In parallel, other businesses and individuals associated with Comet Ping Pong, or mentioned in the Podesta emails, became targets of harassment and scrutiny. Nearby businesses, such as Buck's Fishing and Camping, another restaurant mentioned in the emails, found themselves caught up in the conspiracy. Employees and patrons of these establishments were harassed both online and in person, receiving threatening messages and enduring public accusations of involvement in the fictitious trafficking ring. Throughout this period, traditional media outlets and fact-checking organizations repeatedly debunked the Pizzagate claims. Articles in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other reputable sources detailed the lack of evidence supporting the theory and highlighted the dangers of spreading such unfounded accusations. Fact-checking websites like Snopes published comprehensive rebuttals, dissecting the supposed evidence and explaining why the theory was baseless. Despite these efforts, the Pizzagate theory continued to thrive in online communities that were predisposed to distrust mainstream media and authorities. The theory's proponents argued that the debunking efforts were part of the cover-up, further entrenching their beliefs. This phenomenon, where attempts to disprove a conspiracy theory only strengthen the convictions of its adherents, is known as the backfire effect. In the case of Pizzagate, the more the mainstream media and fact-checkers tried to disprove the theory, the more its believers felt vindicated. The role of social media algorithms in amplifying the Pizzagate theory cannot be overstated. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube use algorithms designed to maximize user engagement by promoting content that elicits strong reactions. Sensational and controversial content, such as Pizzagate, tends to generate high levels of engagement, leading algorithms to push it to more users. This created a feedback loop where the theory gained more visibility and traction, drawing in new adherents and reinforcing the beliefs of existing ones. In addition to social media, Pizzagate was also propagated through alternative media channels, such as independent blogs, podcasts, and YouTube channels dedicated to conspiracy theories. These platforms provided a space for in-depth discussions and analyses of the theory, often presenting it as part of a larger narrative about government corruption and elite criminal networks. The decentralized nature of these media channels made it difficult to counteract the spread of misinformation, as there was no single source to target for debunking efforts. The rapid spread and virulence of the Pizzagate theory underscore the power of misinformation in the digital age. What began as a fringe conspiracy on internet forums quickly escalated into a widespread belief with real-world consequences. The theory's ability to captivate and mobilize individuals highlights the vulnerabilities in our information ecosystem, where falsehoods can spread more quickly and widely than ever before. In conclusion, the origins of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory are rooted in the politically charged environment of the 2016 U.S. presidential election and the release of John Podesta's hacked emails. What began as unfounded speculation on internet forums quickly gained momentum through social media and alternative media channels, ultimately leading to widespread belief and real-world consequences. The Pizzagate saga serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of misinformation and the critical need for media literacy and vigilance in the digital age. The spread of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory was a multifaceted process that leveraged the power of social media, influential alt-right figures, and the inherent appeal of sensational content. As the theory gained traction, it evolved from fringe speculation to a widely recognized and discussed narrative, drawing in a diverse array of believers and significantly impacting public discourse. The initial dissemination of the Pizzagate theory can be traced back to internet forums like 4chan and Reddit. These platforms are known for their robust user bases and their tendency to harbor conspiracy theories and controversial content. On these forums, users began dissecting the emails released by WikiLeaks, looking for hidden messages and connections. The mundane references to food in John Podesta's emails, particularly mentions of pizza, were interpreted as code words for illicit activities, despite a complete lack of evidence to support such interpretations. Once the idea took hold on these forums, it spread rapidly. Reddit, in particular, played a crucial role in the propagation of Pizzagate. A subreddit dedicated to the theory, Pizzagate, became a hub for believers to share their findings, discuss theories, and compile supposed evidence. This subreddit quickly grew in popularity, attracting thousands of users who contributed to the narrative's expansion. Posts on Pizzagate often included screenshots of Podesta's emails, annotated with speculative interpretations, and links to other pieces of evidence that were similarly misinterpreted or taken out of context. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter amplified the theory's reach even further. Posts about Pizzagate, often accompanied by sensational headlines and dramatic imagery, garnered significant attention and engagement. These posts were shared widely, spreading the theory beyond the original internet forums to a broader audience. The algorithms used by these platforms, which prioritize content that generates high levels of engagement, played a crucial role in this process. Sensational and controversial content, such as Pizzagate, is more likely to provoke reactions, leading the algorithms to promote it more aggressively. The viral nature of social media meant that Pizzagate could reach individuals who might not have encountered it otherwise. As users shared and commented on Pizzagate-related posts, the theory gained visibility, drawing in new believers and reinforcing the convictions of existing ones. This created a feedback loop where the theory's popularity continued to grow, driven by the very mechanisms designed to enhance user engagement. Influential figures in the alt-right and conspiracy theory communities further bolstered the spread of Pizzagate. Alex Jones, the founder of InfoWars, was one of the most prominent voices promoting the theory. Jones's platform had a large and dedicated following, and his endorsement of Pizzagate lent it a veneer of credibility in the eyes of his audience. On his show, Jones discussed the supposed evidence for Pizzagate, presenting it as part of a broader narrative about elite corruption and government cover-ups. His bombastic style and ability to engage his audience made him a powerful amplifier for the theory. Other alt-right figures, such as Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec, also played significant roles in spreading Pizzagate. They used their social media presence to share and promote Pizzagate content, often framing it as a major scandal that the mainstream media was deliberately ignoring. Their involvement helped to draw in individuals who might not have been regular consumers of conspiracy theory content, but were receptive to anti-establishment narratives. The role of YouTube in the spread of Pizzagate was particularly significant. Content creators on the platform produced videos that purported to decode Podesta's emails and expose the supposed child trafficking ring. These videos often used dramatic music, sensational headlines, and intricate visual effects to capture viewers' attention and convey a sense of urgency and importance. The videos were shared widely on social media and linked to from forums and blogs, further expanding their reach. YouTube's recommendation algorithm, which suggests videos based on users' viewing history and engagement patterns, played a crucial role in promoting Pizzagate content. Viewers who watched one Pizzagate video were likely to be recommended others, creating a rabbit hole effect where users were exposed to an increasing volume of conspiracy theory content. This algorithmic amplification contributed to the theory's rapid spread and entrenchment among its followers. As Pizzagate gained momentum, it began to attract the attention of mainstream media outlets. Initially, the coverage focused on debunking the theory and highlighting the lack of evidence supporting the claims. Articles in major newspapers and segments on television news programs detailed the ways in which the theory was baseless and how it had been constructed through misinterpretations and leaps of logic. However, this coverage also had the unintended effect of bringing Pizzagate to a wider audience, including people who might not have been aware of it otherwise. Mainstream media coverage of Pizzagate often framed it as an example of the dangers of misinformation and the power of social media to spread falsehoods. This framing was intended to educate the public about the risks of believing and sharing unverified information. However, for those already inclined to distrust the media, such coverage was seen as part of the cover-up, reinforcing their belief in the conspiracy. This phenomenon, known as the backfire effect, occurs when attempts to correct misinformation actually strengthen people's commitment to their false beliefs. The Pizzagate theory also benefited from the broader context of the 2016 election and the rise of so-called fake news. The election had been marked by a proliferation of false and misleading information, much of it spread through social media. This created an environment where people were more likely to encounter and believe sensational and unverified claims. The intense polarization and mistrust between supporters of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump further fueled the spread of Pizzagate, as each side was eager to believe the worst about the other. As the theory continued to spread, it took on a life of its own, with new evidence and interpretations constantly being added. Users on forums and social media continued to pore over Podesta's emails and other materials, finding new connections and building on the existing narrative. This iterative process of collective investigation and theorizing helped to sustain the momentum of Pizzagate, keeping it in the public eye and attracting new adherents. Despite repeated debunking by fact-checkers and mainstream media, Pizzagate persisted. The theory's proponents argued that the debunking efforts were part of the cover-up, further entrenching their beliefs. The persistence of Pizzagate highlighted the challenges of combating misinformation in the digital age, where falsehoods can spread rapidly and take on a life of their own. In conclusion, the spread of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory was a complex process that leveraged the power of social media, influential figures, and the inherent appeal of sensational content. From its origins on internet forums, the theory rapidly gained traction through social media platforms, amplified by alt-right figures and content creators. Despite efforts to debunk it, Pizzagate continued to thrive, illustrating the challenges of addressing misinformation in the digital age and the powerful impact of conspiracy theories on public discourse. The story of Pizzagate serves as a cautionary tale about the potential for misinformation to spread uncontrollably and the importance of critical thinking and media literacy in navigating the modern information landscape. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory not only spread rapidly online, but also had significant real-world consequences. These consequences underscored the dangers of misinformation and the potential for online conspiracy theories to incite real-world actions. The most dramatic and alarming manifestation of these consequences occurred on December 4, 2016, when Edgar Madison Welch, a 28-year-old man from North Carolina, took it upon himself to investigate the claims about Comet Ping Pong. His actions demonstrated the tangible impact that baseless conspiracy theories can have on individuals and communities. Welch was an avid consumer of online conspiracy theories and had been following the Pizzagate narrative closely. He became convinced that the pizzeria was the center of a child trafficking ring and decided to take matters into his own hands. Armed with an AR-15 rifle and other firearms, Welch drove from his home in North Carolina to Washington, D.C., with the intention of rescuing the supposed child victims he believed were being held at Comet Ping Pong. Upon arriving at the pizzeria, Welch entered the establishment, which was busy with customers, and brandished his weapon. Panic ensued as patrons and staff fled or hid to escape the perceived threat. Welch fired multiple shots inside the restaurant, damaging property, but fortunately not injuring anyone. His search of the premises, which included attempting to break into a locked storage room, yielded no evidence of the alleged trafficking operation. Realizing that his beliefs were unfounded, Welch surrendered to the police who had surrounded the building. The incident at Comet Ping Pong was a stark reminder of how online conspiracy theories can lead to real-world violence. Welch's actions were driven by a genuine belief in the false narrative he had encountered online, highlighting the powerful influence of misinformation. His case became a focal point in discussions about the impact of fake news and the responsibilities of social media platforms in preventing the spread of harmful content. Following his arrest, Welch expressed regret for his actions, acknowledging that he had been misled by the conspiracy theories he had encountered online. In an interview with the New York Times, he stated, "The intel on this wasn't 100%. His acknowledgement of the fallibility of the information he had relied upon underscored the importance of critical thinking and skepticism when evaluating online content. Welch was charged with several offenses, including assault with a dangerous weapon and transporting a firearm across state lines. In March 2017, he pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. During his sentencing, Welch apologized for his actions and the fear and disruption he had caused. The judge emphasized the seriousness of his actions and the potential for even greater harm, noting that it was fortunate that no one had been injured or killed. The aftermath of Welch's attack had lasting effects on the staff and patrons of Comet Ping Pong, as well as the broader community. The pizzeria, which had been a popular neighborhood spot known for its family-friendly atmosphere and live music events, faced ongoing harassment and threats. Employees received abusive messages and death threats from individuals who continued to believe in the Pizzagate conspiracy. The harassment extended to other businesses in the area, particularly those mentioned in the conspiracy theories, creating a climate of fear and anxiety. James Alefantis, the owner of Comet Ping Pong, became a central figure in the harassment campaign. Despite his efforts to debunk the conspiracy theories and clear his name, Alefantis faced relentless online abuse and personal threats. In interviews, he described the toll that the harassment had taken on his business and personal life, highlighting the destructive power of misinformation. The incident prompted calls for greater accountability for social media platforms and the individuals who spread harmful conspiracy theories. The Pizzagate incident also had broader implications for how conspiracy theories and misinformation are addressed by the media and technology companies. In the wake of the attack, there were increased calls for social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to take more proactive measures in combating the spread of false information. These platforms faced criticism for their role in amplifying the Pizzagate conspiracy, as their algorithms prioritized sensational and engaging content, often at the expense of accuracy and reliability. In response to the criticism, social media companies began implementing changes aimed at curbing the spread of misinformation. Facebook, for example, introduced measures to flag and reduce the visibility of fake news, partnering with fact-checking organizations to review and debunk false claims. Twitter and YouTube also took steps to address the issue, including updating their policies and improving their moderation practices. However, these efforts were often seen as insufficient by critics who argued that more robust and comprehensive measures were needed to effectively combat the problem. The Pizzagate incident also prompted discussions about the responsibility of media outlets in reporting on conspiracy theories. Some critics argued that the mainstream media's coverage of Pizzagate, even in efforts to debunk it, inadvertently gave the conspiracy theory more visibility and legitimacy. They contended that sensational headlines and repeated coverage could reinforce the beliefs of conspiracy theorists, making it more difficult to dislodge false narratives. To address these concerns, media organizations began to reevaluate their approach to reporting on conspiracy theories and misinformation. Guidelines were developed to ensure that coverage focused on debunking false claims without inadvertently amplifying them. Emphasis was placed on providing clear, evidence-based refutations and highlighting the real-world consequences of misinformation. These efforts aim to educate the public about the dangers of believing and spreading unverified information and to promote media literacy. The Pizzagate incident also highlighted the need for greater public awareness and education about media literacy and critical thinking. In the digital age, where information is abundant and easily accessible, individuals must be equipped with the skills to evaluate the credibility of sources and the veracity of claims. Educational initiatives and public awareness campaigns focused on teaching people how to identify reliable information, recognize common tactics used in misinformation, and think critically about the content they encounter online. Despite these efforts, the legacy of Pizzagate continues to resonate, illustrating the enduring appeal of conspiracy theories and the challenges of combating misinformation. The incident serves as a case study in the potential for online falsehoods to translate into real-world actions with serious and sometimes dangerous consequences. It underscores the importance of vigilance, responsibility, and critical thinking in navigating the modern information landscape. In conclusion, the real-world consequences of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory were profound and far-reaching. The attack on Comet Ping Pong by Edgar Madison Welch demonstrated the tangible impact that online misinformation can have, leading to violence and harassment. The incident prompted a reevaluation of how social media platforms, media outlets, and society as a whole address the spread of conspiracy theories. It highlighted the need for greater accountability, media literacy, and critical thinking to prevent similar incidents in the future. The Pizzagate saga remains a powerful reminder of the dangers of misinformation and the importance of seeking truth and accuracy in the digital age. The role of media and technology in the Pizzagate conspiracy theory is a crucial aspect of understanding how the theory gained traction and spread so rapidly. The dynamics of digital platforms, the algorithms that drive content visibility, and the evolving landscape of news consumption all played significant roles in amplifying and perpetuating the false narrative. This chapter delves into the intricacies of how media and technology facilitated the spread of Pizzagate, the responses from these platforms, and the broader implications for information dissemination in the digital age. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube were instrumental in the dissemination of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. These platforms are designed to maximize user engagement, often by promoting content that generates strong reactions. This engagement-driven model means that sensational and emotionally charged content is more likely to be amplified. The Pizzagate theory, with its dramatic claims and shocking allegations, was perfectly suited to this environment. On Facebook, posts about Pizzagate quickly went viral. Users shared articles, videos, and memes that purported to expose the child trafficking ring, often accompanied by sensational headlines and images. These posts were frequently shared within echo chambers where users already distrusted mainstream media and were predisposed to believe in conspiracy theories. As the posts were shared and reshared, they reached an increasingly wide audience, many of whom had no prior exposure to the theory. The Facebook algorithm, which prioritizes content that elicits high engagement, further amplified these posts, ensuring that they appeared in the news feeds of millions of users. Twitter also played a significant role in the spread of Pizzagate. Hashtags related to the conspiracy theory, such as Jar Pizzagate and Jar Podesta emails, trended on the platform, making it easy for users to find and engage with related content. Influential Twitter users, including alt-right figures and conspiracy theorists, used their large followings to promote the theory, often framing it as a major scandal being ignored by the mainstream media. The retweet and like functions on Twitter helped to amplify these messages, spreading them far beyond their original audiences. YouTube was perhaps the most impactful platform in terms of spreading the Pizzagate theory. Content creators produced videos that purported to decode John Podesta's emails and expose the supposed criminal network. These videos often featured dramatic music, eye-catching visuals, and authoritative-sounding narration, making them compelling and persuasive. The YouTube recommendation algorithm, which suggests videos based on users' viewing history and engagement patterns, played a critical role in promoting Pizzagate content. Viewers who watched one Pizzagate video were likely to be recommended others, creating a rabbit hole effect where users were exposed to an increasing volume of conspiracy theory content. The algorithms used by these platforms are designed to maximize user engagement by promoting content that generates clicks, likes, shares, and comments. This engagement-driven model can inadvertently prioritize sensational and misleading content, as such content tends to provoke stronger reactions. In the case of Pizzagate, the emotionally charged nature of the conspiracy theory ensured that it garnered significant engagement, which in turn led to greater visibility. This created a feedback loop where the theory continued to gain traction and reach new audiences. In addition to social media platforms, alternative media websites and blogs played a crucial role in spreading the Pizzagate theory. Websites like InfoWars, Breitbart, and others known for promoting conspiracy theories and sensationalist content produced articles and videos that supported and expanded upon the Pizzagate narrative. These outlets often framed the theory as a major scandal being covered up by the mainstream media, which resonated with their audience's existing distrust of traditional news sources. The articles and videos produced by these outlets were shared widely on social media, further amplifying the conspiracy theory. The mainstream media's response to Pizzagate was complex and multifaceted. Initially, major news outlets sought to debunk the theory by publishing articles that detailed the lack of evidence and highlighted the absurdity of the claims. Fact-checking organizations like Snopes and PolitiFact also produced comprehensive rebuttals, explaining how the theory was based on misinterpretations and leaps of logic. However, these efforts were not always successful in dispelling the conspiracy. For many believers, the mainstream media's attempts to debunk Pizzagate were seen as part of the cover-up, reinforcing their distrust and commitment to the theory. The mainstream media's coverage of Pizzagate, even in the context of debunking it, also had the unintended effect of bringing the conspiracy theory to a wider audience. Headlines and news segments about Pizzagate introduced the theory to people who might not have encountered it otherwise. In some cases, the sensational nature of the coverage may have piqued curiosity and led more people to investigate the theory, inadvertently driving traffic to the very content that was being debunked. This phenomenon, where attempts to counteract misinformation inadvertently amplify it, is known as the backfire effect. In response to the criticism and the real-world consequences of Pizzagate, social media platforms and technology companies began to take steps to address the spread of misinformation. Facebook, for example, introduced measures to flag and reduce the visibility of fake news. The platform partnered with fact-checking organizations to review and debunk false claims, and posts identified as false were accompanied by warning labels and links to verified information. Facebook also adjusted its algorithm to reduce the prominence of sensational and misleading content in users' news feeds. Twitter implemented similar measures, updating its policies to combat misinformation and improve its moderation practices. The platform introduced tools for users to report misleading content and expanded its efforts to verify the identities of high-profile accounts, making it more difficult for anonymous users to spread false information. Twitter also took steps to limit the reach of conspiracy theories by adjusting its algorithm and promoting authoritative sources of information. YouTube, facing significant criticism for its role in promoting conspiracy theories, made substantial changes to its recommendation algorithm. The platform introduced policies to reduce the visibility of borderline content, videos that do not violate community guidelines but spread harmful misinformation. YouTube also began promoting authoritative content in search results and recommendations, particularly for topics prone to misinformation, such as politics and health. Additionally, YouTube invested in improving its content moderation and expanded its fact-checking partnerships to provide viewers with accurate information. Despite these efforts, the challenge of combating misinformation on social media remains significant. The sheer volume of content, the speed at which it spreads, and the sophistication of misinformation tactics make it difficult for platforms to keep up. Moreover, the engagement-driven nature of social media means that sensational and emotionally charged content will always have an advantage in capturing attention. While platforms have made progress in addressing misinformation, Critics argue that more robust and comprehensive measures are needed to effectively combat the problem. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory also highlighted the broader issue of media literacy and the need for public education about how to critically evaluate information. In the digital age, where information is abundant and easily accessible, individuals must be equipped with the skills to discern credible sources from dubious ones. Educational initiatives and public awareness campaigns focused on teaching people how to identify reliable information, recognize common tactics used in misinformation, and think critically about the content they encounter online are essential. Media literacy programs in schools and communities can help individuals develop these critical thinking skills. By teaching people how to assess the credibility of sources, verify information, and understand the context in which content is produced, these programs can empower individuals to navigate the complex information landscape more effectively. Additionally, public awareness campaigns that promote media literacy and encourage skepticism of sensational and unverified claims can help reduce the spread of misinformation. In conclusion, the role of media and technology in the Pizzagate conspiracy theory was multifaceted and complex. Social media platforms, with their engagement-driven algorithms, played a significant role in amplifying the theory and spreading it to a wide audience. Alternative media outlets and blogs further supported and expanded upon the narrative, while mainstream media efforts to debunk the theory sometimes had the unintended effect of giving it more visibility. In response to the real-world consequences of Pizzagate, social media platforms and technology companies took steps to address the spread of misinformation, but the challenge remains significant. The incident underscores the importance of media literacy and critical thinking in the digital age and highlights the need for continued efforts to combat misinformation and its harmful effects. The aftermath and lessons learned from the Pizzagate conspiracy theory are critical in understanding how society can address the spread of misinformation and prevent similar incidents in the future. The events surrounding Pizzagate underscored the vulnerabilities in our information ecosystem, the potential for digital platforms to amplify falsehoods, and the necessity for comprehensive strategies to foster media literacy and critical thinking. This chapter explores the immediate and long-term consequences of Pizzagate, the steps taken by various stakeholders to address the issues it exposed, and the broader lessons for combating misinformation. In the immediate aftermath of the Pizzagate incident, there was a significant public outcry and media coverage highlighting the dangers of misinformation. The attack on Comet Ping Pong by Edgar Madison Welch served as a wake-up call to the real-world implications of online conspiracy theories. The incident prompted widespread condemnation from public officials, media organizations, and technology companies. Many recognized the need for urgent action to prevent similar occurrences in the future. One of the most immediate consequences of Pizzagate was the increased scrutiny on social media platforms and their role in spreading misinformation. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube faced intense criticism for their failure to curb the dissemination of false and harmful content. This criticism led to a series of public statements and commitments from these companies to improve their content moderation policies and practices. Facebook, for instance, announced a series of measures aimed at combating fake news. These included partnerships with fact-checking organizations such as Snopes and PolitiFact to identify and flag false information. When a piece of content was deemed false, it was accompanied by a warning label and a link to a fact-checking article. Additionally, Facebook adjusted its algorithm to prioritize content from reputable news sources and reduce the visibility of sensationalist and misleading content. The company also invested in artificial intelligence and machine learning tools to detect and remove harmful content more efficiently. Twitter also took steps to address the spread of misinformation on its platform. The company updated its policies to explicitly prohibit the spread of false information that could incite violence or cause harm. Twitter introduced new tools for users to report misleading content and expanded its verification program to include more high-profile accounts, making it more difficult for anonymous users to spread falsehoods. The platform also worked to improve its algorithm to reduce the amplification of conspiracy theories and promote credible sources of information. YouTube, facing significant backlash for its role in promoting conspiracy theories through its recommendation algorithm, implemented several changes. The platform revised its algorithm to limit the visibility of borderline content. Videos that do not violate community guidelines but spread harmful misinformation. YouTube also began prioritizing authoritative sources in search results and recommendations, particularly for topics prone to misinformation, such as politics and health. The company expanded its efforts to provide context and fact-checking information alongside videos, helping viewers make informed decisions about the content they consume. Despite these efforts, the effectiveness of these measures has been mixed, and challenges remain. The sheer volume of content on social media platforms makes it difficult to identify and remove all harmful material. Additionally, bad actors continuously develop new tactics to evade detection and spread misinformation. The engagement-driven nature of social media means that sensational and emotionally charged content will always have an advantage in capturing attention, making it challenging to balance free speech with the need to prevent harm. In the wake of Pizzagate, there was also a renewed focus on the importance of media literacy and critical thinking. Educators, policymakers, and advocacy groups emphasized the need for comprehensive media literacy programs to equip individuals with the skills to evaluate information critically. These programs aim to teach people how to assess the credibility of sources, recognize common tactics used in misinformation, and understand the context in which content is produced. Schools and educational institutions began incorporating media literacy into their curricula, recognizing it as a crucial skill for the digital age. Students are taught how to verify information, differentiate between credible and non-credible sources, and understand the impact of misinformation on society. Public awareness campaigns also played a role in promoting media literacy among the general population. These campaigns encouraged individuals to think critically about the content they encounter online and to seek out multiple sources before accepting information as true. Government agencies and public institutions also took steps to address the spread of misinformation. Some governments introduced legislation aimed at holding social media platforms accountable for the content they host. These laws required platforms to implement more stringent content moderation practices and to be more transparent about their algorithms and decision-making processes. In some cases, fines and penalties were introduced for platforms that failed to adequately address harmful content. The Pizzagate incident also sparked discussions about the responsibility of traditional media outlets in reporting on conspiracy theories. Critics argued that the mainstream media's coverage of Pizzagate, even in efforts to debunk it, inadvertently gave the conspiracy theory more visibility and legitimacy. As a result, media organizations began reevaluating their approach to reporting on misinformation. Guidelines were developed to ensure that coverage focused on debunking false claims without inadvertently amplifying them. Emphasis was placed on providing clear, evidence-based refutations and highlighting the real-world consequences of spreading misinformation. The academic community also responded to the Pizzagate incident by conducting research on the spread of misinformation and its impact on society. Scholars from various disciplines, including communication studies, psychology, and political science, investigated how and why misinformation spreads, the factors that make individuals susceptible to believing false information, and the best strategies for countering it. This research has informed the development of more effective interventions and policies aimed at reducing the spread of misinformation. One significant lesson from Pizzagate is the need for a multifaceted approach to combating misinformation. No single solution can address the complex and evolving nature of the problem. Instead, a combination of technological, educational, and regulatory measures is necessary. Social media platforms must continue to improve their content moderation practices and algorithms, while also being transparent about their processes. Educators and public institutions must prioritize media literacy and critical thinking, ensuring that individuals are equipped to navigate the digital information landscape. Governments and policymakers must develop and enforce regulations that hold platforms accountable and protect the public from harmful content. The Pizzagate incident also underscores the importance of fostering a culture of critical thinking and skepticism. Individuals must be encouraged to question the information they encounter, seek out multiple perspectives, and rely on credible sources. By promoting a mindset of inquiry and discernment, society can build resilience against the spread of misinformation. Another important lesson is the need for collaboration and cooperation among various stakeholders. Social media companies, governments, educational institutions, media organizations, and the public must work together to address the challenges posed by misinformation. Collaborative efforts, such as public-private partnerships and cross-sector initiatives, can leverage the strengths and resources of different entities to develop more effective solutions. In conclusion, the aftermath of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory highlighted the significant challenges posed by misinformation and the urgent need for comprehensive strategies to address it. The incident prompted social media platforms to implement changes aimed at curbing the spread of false information, sparked discussions about the responsibilities of traditional media, and emphasized the importance of media literacy and critical thinking. While progress has been made, the ongoing nature of the problem requires continued vigilance and collaboration. The lessons learned from Pizzagate serve as a reminder of the power of misinformation and the importance of fostering an informed and discerning public. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory is a stark reminder of how quickly misinformation can spread and the real-world consequences it can have. As we navigate an increasingly digital world, it is crucial to remain critical of the information we encounter and to seek out credible sources. Only through collective vigilance can we prevent similar incidents in the future. Thank you for joining us on this journey to uncover the truth behind Pizzagate. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay informed, stay critical, and stay safe.